and just getting everyone aligned so that we can really hit that mark and be ready for it. So we're going to start off with just a quick status update from everybody. The goal is to keep it under 5 minutes. It would be amazing, but if it goes to 10, that's okay. 11 is not. Okay, so I will be giving warnings at 5 minutes, 3 winners at 5 minutes, 8 minutes, and 9 minutes. So I guess I can start because I'm already standing up here. So there's been a lot going on. Obviously we had Burning Man, which was a big distraction for me, but also a big opportunity. I got to make good friends with Vlad Zamfir and Joe Lubin and other real big players in the Ethereum game, and give Giveth t-shirts, and I actually gave a couple talks about Giveth, and in general we held a whole conference on decentralization, and I actually think in the long run Burning Man will be a good place to pull from. So it was really nice that for projects. So it was really nice to make a showing there. I had a big move with Alice.si. They're our first external party to actually receive funds from a Giveth smart contract. They marked 3 milestones complete, but I could only approve 2 of them. So it was an actual test of our system, and it worked out really well. MyEther Wallet, I've met with them a couple times, and they desperately want to use our platform for their donations. And we are a couple steps away from that, but it's good to have them on board. Let's see, I think that's and then we have this meeting, and I'm gonna try to implement Holacracy. I feel like we have kind of the budding of it so far, and we've achieved that. But the next move I'm really excited about. I've done a lot of studying on how to implement it in our organization, and I'm excited to implement that. So that's pretty much where I'm at. Maybe we could just go around in the circle. Z, do you have any status updates?
Do you have to go there?
Yeah. You don't if you don't want to be on camera, you don't have to.
I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm not sure if I'm the most important one, but I've been working on the prototype. I was working on it earlier, I mean, basically most of the time last month, but I've been struggling a bit because I don't think we have a very clear definition, and the names are still a bit fuzzy. People from the team use different names for the same roles, so that's something that needs to be clarified. Also, I don't think we have a clear consensus of what needs to be on mobile and what needs to be on desktop. But I've been working on that, basically how the decks and how the campaigns will be displayed in the UI, stuff like that. With Grace, or mostly Grace, she created the product survey. I think we have some nice answers there, sort of like a pointers of what's important in the UI, what kind of information will be sort of helpful for the users to show there. Yeah, and I've just been helping out with the product definition. That's what I would say for me.
Very cool.
So I'm still fresh and new in the crypto scene, so I think I achieved the fact that I get a bit of a better idea what crypto is and blockchain, the whole technology, etc., than what Giveth is and what Giveth wants. I don't have to ask you 1,000 times what you want, just like 20 or 30 times, so I think that's a big achievement. Oh yeah, of course I made loads of contacts in the scene in the last month especially, I'd say. Yeah, Brian was really good for that. What else? Oh, I get an understanding of what you want to do when you talk about Holacracy. Got an idea, but that's a huge field, I think, so I'm starting there. So then the DAO, the reward DAO, I think is at the point where you want it. That's definitely an achievement, I hope. Oh, and then like the milestones and the expenses sheet, so just stuff like this. That's it.
Cool.
No 10 minutes.
Well, I have not um, probably spend as much hours I wanted to spend in the Giveth. A lot of things happened. The white hats went to burning. Also went to some vacations, and it has been like not a very productive month. But even that, we have the liquid pledging contract done. We added all the plugins and stuff. We make a first plugin, and when I mean done, it means that's coded, and more or less the first set of tests are in there. But some feedbacks and some fine tunings still needs to be done. But it's more or less in that state. But that's more or less the main thing for Kiev Minden.
Nice.
We're keeping it short.
Yeah.
Just a quick second, is anybody on Vale from the live stream output? Please switch to Vale.
Okay.
Okay, so 5 to 10 minutes to talk about everything we've done in 2 months.
There you are.
That is not going to be quite enough time, but I like the challenge. Mostly, I know this has been a great trip. I think a lot of congratulations are in order, and it's up to show a lot of appreciation right now and over the next couple of days. The MVP is coming along. I've been thinking a lot about DevCon. Had a chance to do a little bit of R&D, and so I guess I'll show some of that right now. So give me 30 seconds.
Oh.
What are we gonna see?
I don't know.
Interactive.
A surprise.
He's bringing in a clown, a pencil.
Well, I forgot to mention I did 2 interviews. One of them hasn't been published yet. We got another one coming up. And we've been making really good progress on using the DApp. That's the other one I'm proud of.
All right, so I'm really excited about DevCon, and I want everyone to be excited. I mean, I think we all are. One thing I did is I printed out some T-shirts. So this is for everybody here, and hopefully for some people.
Whoa,
I'll just pass them out later, but we can pass it around now. The other thing is I kind of made our first little publication here. This is really just like a test thing for something that we could have like at DevCon. I'll let you guys pass this out, but it's really just an example. You'll see when you look into it. It's not like it doesn't have a ton of content or anything. But yeah, DevCon. That's really what we're all kind of moving towards. And I like to think that we've kind of passed to the top of the hill of where we're at, and now it's kind of downhill. And so kind of getting ready for that. So I'm going to show you guys some things real quick on here to go over some stuff that I kind of did some R&D on, but I don't really know exactly how applicable it's going to be to what we are going to have at DevCon. But I just wanted to show you guys that this work was done. I guess I can project it over here. Can you guys turn this on for me?
Yeah.
All right. So, real briefly, one of the things I had a chance to do when I wanted to kind of explore a different option or a couple different options for what we could do. It's not so much about the UI, but I made this other UI to show kind of a different way of using structured data instead of just having the rich text for campaign descriptions and whatnot. So on this model, if you were to review a milestone, there's these completion requirements and evidence lists right here. And the whole point of showing this is that this would be entering more structured data into like the campaign or the milestone or whatever. You put your description, and then in addition to a description, you'd have to add what you think your completion requirements are going to be. And then as you're going along your milestone, you'd be appending more pieces of evidence to that milestone. And the benefit of doing something like that is you can have a kind of a reviewer experience. So when the reviewer comes in and says like, hey, I want to review this milestone, they can have this little survey up here that's kind of like, hey, is this milestone complete? This is just test data here, but this one would say whatever the first little part of the completion requirement for that milestone was. They could say, not really, totally this one was, not really. Then you get to the end, it's like, hey, do you approve, do you extend the deadline, do you reject? This right here is actually a path, that sort of thing. So this is just kind of like just a different idea or something that we could maybe use or not use. It's nothing I really want to think about implementing for DevCon, but I just kind of want to show you that it was out there. Another thing that we went over briefly in, I think, the last, what's it called? Oh, it's called GitHub. So in my last video to you guys, I showed you that we were kind of working on the test data. Or I was trying to set up the ability to set test data. So this right now is a deployed version of our MVP, but it's to my own kind of like personal address, just kind of as a test, another test account. And I wrote this script in Python that allows me to generate data on the fly. So this is something that's in that video. Well, in addition to that data, this right here is a Cypher or CQL, not to be confused with SQL. And so what that does is it causes this part over here to kind of be auto-filled or populated with test data. And each of these things, if you go into them, they have like a description, or we could add whatever realistic data we want to, but this is just something to help out with testing. And then so for the DAX, they have art and culture, women, and the campaigns are a little bit more specific, like Nelson Saves Polaris or something like that. Well, in addition to that, not only can we add to the feathers, but if we wanted to, we could also add to, let's see, this is a graph database, and we wouldn't have to necessarily use this implementation, but the good thing about using a graph concept is, like, as we're adding all this data, there's all these pathways that are happening with the donations and whatnot. And so if you use something like this, you can visualize where those transfers and where those donations happen. So not only did I generate that data for all the descriptions and fake that sort of stuff, I also created a bunch of transactions, random transactions, rally delegations, just to kind of experiment and see how what the model would look like. And by putting something, by having this third place, I guess I'm kind of proposing where we've stored data, this would handle all of our hard questions. If we ever wanted to be like, hey, how far do donations really go? Where did everything happen with this particular DAC, and where was the real trickle down of this person's donation all the way over here? All those questions you can more easily ask those in a graph model. Doesn't mean we have to use Neo4j, maybe we use CQL or something like that, but I think this is kind of the strategy for when we get to the point where we want to ask deep questions of our data, having this kind of additional stash or cache next to feathers, which we're using for the real time. So it's like now it's possible to use these three different data systems for different things. You're using blockchain for the real deal accountability and transparency. You're using feathers for as much real-time caching or as much speed as we can get to interact between our members. And then we're using something like this for data analysis. And then these little cool, one of the reasons I like Neo4j is that I think it actually does have the best graph out of all the other products thus far. You kind of get this for free, and we could kind of even export even this into our app if we wanted to. Like I said, this is all after DevCon stuff.
This is really great.
I think that might be, I guess I should go over really briefly. So I'm the dev team reporter, the recruiting lead, and the white paper lead according to this thing that we set up last time. And so I've kind of really dropped the boat on the recruiting side. I made this document that I feel like I'll send it to everyone. We have to go over it now, that documents what we kind of have been doing, the process that it's been so far in terms of, kind of our policy or lack thereof. And then for the white paper, I started a little while ago, and I kind of have some holes that need to be filled in, but I kind of at least kind of like where it's going, and I'll send that out to everyone too. And let's see, that might be. And so then I'm going to show this thing last, just because it kind of goes more to what we're going to be going to, which is all testing. It's like now I'm really concerned about setting up the testing phase, finishing up the MVP as it is now, wrapping it up, and then start handling all our test cases, seeing which ones pass, automating those tests. That way we're in a good position for DevCon. And this picture kind of shows at least what the test cases were going to be before we've, this is outdated now, but kind of like updating this. So this is kind of all the logical use cases that we need to be tested for the DAC. Back then it was called the cause. These are all the things, the pathways that a user could popularly take or not take. The green is kind of the happy path, the yellow is like, it could happen, but it's, and the red is like, okay, we had to do something. Did something happen in the system that we prefer, didn't happen. And so, yeah, that's it.
Nice.
Excellent.
Great.
Nice.
Yes.
Well,
Record timing.
You're kind of stuck in the corner there, but
You wanna get in front?
you don't have to.
I'll talk from back here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so over the last
No.
month or two, I guess, the first kind of priority was getting the current DApp in a semi-usable state for us. And then I've also been working on just kind of getting server infrastructure and setting that up for Feathers and getting an Ethereum node running, etc. And then in the new DApp, I implemented a wallet, or started implementing a wallet. It's mostly worked. There's still some tweaks that need to be done, but it's probably usable for us. So then we can kind of get rid of that MetaMask dependency that we had with our current DApp. And then I've been working a lot on the back end, kind of working to integrate the contract calls into the DApp and getting the contract and a UI to kind of integrate with each other.
Wow, nice.
That's all I got.
That might have sounded like a little, but that was
Huge.
a shit ton. So.
Making a mobile Ethereum wallet, kind of missing that in the ecosystem. Well done. Kai?
By the way, Oz, you got applause by the public.
Oh yeah.
Easy days says applause. So, okay, but I should move. Yeah, I should be landing here.
You're going there?
So in very short, I'm in charge of the, I call it documentation. It's was a part of documentation for me is the website, the wiki, the video, kind of nudging people to supply content myself. Yeah. What I did since the last Barcelona meeting was taking over the website and making little changes to adapt it to our needs. I planned a new website, but I think there's a program point tomorrow for this whole thing, so I'm gonna skip the future now. I have a plan, and I will share that plan. Yeah, I mean, I documented what I did on the net. If anybody's interested in our smart milestones, you can check that out. Yeah, I guess
Okay.
that's it. I don't wanna,
Yeah.
take too much time. I don't even know if the camera is pointing at me. Because I'm in charge of the stream, sorry.
Yes,
guys.
it
That's
is.
why I have to,
Yes,
I'm
it
anxious to get back behind the
The
camera.
video that we did.
The video did, yeah. I mean, we shot a
Yeah,
video
it's
with
great.
Griff. I hope you saw it, guys. Actually, it would be nice from the public to know what they think. I would love to know. What do you think of our What is Giveth video, if you've seen it? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Grace?
Yes, I'm really excited about being here. I am not going to go all around this table to show myself in front of the camera. I think people already know who we are. I'm particularly excited about being here because it has been 2 months of hard work, and I have seen the results in many areas. We all didn't go to Burning Man, so some of us who stayed behind actually got some work done in other areas. So we advanced in identifying some potential decentralized altruistic communities. So that's something that it's dear to my heart because this is really what's going to fill in our gap and what's going to bring the value in many ways. So what we are looking at is actually talking to the community out there, identifying the possible DACs that will be onboarded into our DApp, and engage them in a conversation, kind of sharing what they're doing, their costs and their purpose, and getting them in our DAC channel, and hopefully onboarding some of them in our first version of the DApp. The second thing is the visual identity, and that's something that I had fun doing with Alan, who is going to tell us later about what we achieved on that area. But in any case, I would like to mention that we have identified our visual identity as going in two streams. One meaning that we will have an identity for the DAC ourselves. We are the unicorn DAC, and we have our own identity, and our platform of Giveth will have its own. So I will explain that a little bit later in more detail and how we evolved to kind of come to that decision. Third, I worked with a very good financial guy on our financials, and while this is not such an exciting thing to do, is painfully necessary to have in order and in a transparent way, so that we can also show to anyone who sees our spending very clearly what we are, where we are spending the funds and how we are using them. So that means also new ways to claim expenses and so on. And lastly, we did some surveys, two of them, in fact, one for the product, which we got some response from our community, and that was very positive. It was more genetic and kind of understanding how people feel about charity overall. We got some great feedback in terms of what people are expecting from the product itself. And the second one was more internal focused, just to understand how the team feels about integrating into what the Giveth DAC means, and our governance model, or Holacracy, and how do we see ourselves in the Giveth overall, in Giveth DAC. So those are the points that I wanted to present, and I think that's it.
Nice.
All right.
Can we go over there?
Should I?
Go.
I can. All right. Let me get my notes. I'm a man of few words, so this will be fast. I think you will be happy about it. So my most important, maybe personal achievement is I figured out how to do Giveth full time.
Yay.
That took me quite a time. Then I was thinking, but maybe not, that we finalized the MVP definition with Satya, Griff, RJ, and Z, what we actually want out of it. Then I've outlined what should be in the product in the future, and I wanted to present it, though I don't have it really ready. I did with Jenny and with Grace, we did the finances from the beginning, because I've more and more realized that we have money to build MVP, but like that's where it starts, right? That's where we actually will start to need to push, and that's something we should really focus on as well. And then worked a little bit with Z on the UX, and with Grace on the branding logo, provided some feedback. I've been slacking a little bit as well on the Slack, and yeah, that's it.
Nice.
Now we're down.
Well, I'll just go there. So, who doesn't know me can see me. My name is Alan. I've recently joined the gang. I'm very happy to be here. And what I've been doing so far was the new logo for the Giveth platform. the let's say the mother brand of all the DACs, and I'm looking forward to try to help contribute with the UX and UI as much as I can, and I'm really proud of what's going on here.
Thank you.
Do you want to present anything? Or? No. Okay.
I'm still learning, but
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, that was really fast, guys. Great work. That is a lot. There's been a lot going on that I don't think we're all aware of and all that. And so, and that's really exciting because everyone's working so hard. But I think that we could probably start organizing ourselves in a little more formal, structured way. And so I'm going to try to implement some holacracy methods. There is a on our agenda, which I will send out to everyone right here, just in case you don't have it. There's a link to what we're going to do this next exercise that we're going to do. So I'm just in general. Private team.
Such as assessment began 15 minutes.
Oh, nice. He's early. Alan, I don't think you have private team access. Is anyone else on the private team? Okay, he's on private team?
I know.
Okay. Perfect. So, this next exercise is actually really easy. Should take about 5 minutes of quiet time. So if everyone can grab their computer. Basically, there's this spreadsheet where I filled out mine to kind of model what we're looking for. But it's for the roles that you have been assigned previously. And if you have a role that you feel like you're fulfilling, I would really appreciate it if you could just give a name to that role. For the most part, just stick with the roles you have. But if there's something that's clear that you're like, well, obviously I've been doing this, feel free to put that down. You need to define the role. So like my roles are strategy lead, team structure lead, internal comms lead, legal lead, which I do a lot of, and community lead. And then you just define a purpose. And the purpose should be short. It doesn't have to be a whole lot, although and in general, it will start with ing. So like allocating for the strategy lead, I'm allocating resources and defining the priorities and strategies for the development of Giveth. For internal comms lead, I'm moving relevant and pertinent information from one circle to another. These kinds of things. And then you just put in your name, maybe color code it. I picked green. And then domains. So domains are really important. It's kind of the stuff that you feel like you have ownership to, and it's important to kind of like mark your territory so that if someone else starts doing that, then you can be like, well, that's kind of my domain, so maybe we can like work more collaboratively on that topic. The exact definitions are in the little document that I sent you, so you should be able to.
Where is this extra?
It's the link that says filling out this spreadsheet.
And then I'll open that and then put it on the spreadsheet.
So we'll take 5 minutes right now. It's 10 a.m. exactly. At 10:05, I'll start talking again.
So you want us to all make our own column
Yeah,
in this spreadsheet?
yeah. Make your own column for each role that you feel like you have, especially the ones that were assigned to you already. Like, and just write.
You want us to make our own tab.
Not a tab.
No.
All in the
column.
It just
Your
looks like
column.
because Griff has 4 rows here.
Yeah,
Okay, it's like a bunch of columns. He wants you to add to like G and H and
yeah.
L and M and N.
So you can just scroll over
Thank you.
and make your own role.
Yeah, we're gonna
Oh wait.
The purpose is a capacity, a potential, or unrealizable goal that you plan to
Okay.
pursue or express on behalf of
You do it
Giveth.
all in the same tab or
The
the
same tab.
same tab?
Everyone in the
No.
same tab.
Can
So
we
that-
transpose it? Because this is really difficult.
Not right now, I'm afraid.
Okay.
So we just put our name tag like that?
Yeah.
You say what your role is, you say what the purpose of the role is, so what you're trying to do on behalf of Giveth under this role, and the domains, the things that this role is in charge of, that like, so for instance, I put the Medium blog under my strategy role. Because if anyone wants to post that Medium blog, they have to come through me first.
Strategy. So once you put yourself in there, you don't see anybody else?
I don't know what you
Can there
mean.
be two people in the same column?
No. One person per column. One role per column.
Okay. If we want to challenge that,
And, yeah.
we
What do you
duplicate it or
No, you guys can, yeah, you can have both the same role, that's okay.
What means accountability? Who's checking the?
Accountabilities and metrics we'll talk about in a minute.
Okay, so we don't have to fill that.
Nope,
And metrics neither, right?
nope, not yet.
And domain?
Domain, so like for instance, the smart
Smart
contracts
contract
are
is
your
development.
domain. So if someone wants to make a PR to a smart contract,
It's not development.
well, I don't know, if you think development is in your domain, you should put it down.
Well, it's smart contracts are part of the development domain. I don't. So, well, I don't know. Okay. So you say smart contracts. Okay, great.
I think that's part of your domain. Let's see if I can watch.
nothing. Oh, that's where it's happening.
Let's do this. 60-second warning.
first.
All right.
Remember taking YZ and double A. Yeah, you're smart.
Those are mine.
Double A.
Because I can see.
Awesome. I'm gonna go buy some more Monero just for singles.
Why? Because Pirate Bay started
Spanish
mining.
Intelligence Suppression of Catalonia. What's to be done? Crypto, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Monero, censorship, Catalonia referendum. By Julian Assange.
Nice.
Mm,
Okay, so some people are done, some people are still working. You can keep working while I talk. It's what I have to say is all written down in our agenda. But the next move is to actually take this spreadsheet to the next level, and I think that will take more deep, independent thought about what does this role need to be accountable for, and how do we judge whether or not this role is being successful at their duties. Now you got to remember that you're building this role not just for yourself, but potentially one day you hand this role off to somebody else, or you just decide to go get another job with some other crypto company, and we need to fill it. So we're not necessarily giving accountabilities for you; it's accountabilities for the role. And as we expand as an organization, or as the responsibilities of each role expands, know that this role can turn into a circle, and you can start adding other people, and the accountabilities that are required for this role can be spread out amongst multiple people. That's kind of how Holacracy grows. Everyone can kind of start out as a role, and as that role becomes larger and larger, you start adding more people, and it becomes a circle who are sharing the responsibilities of that role, or who each have different roles within the circle. So when either, it doesn't have to be done necessarily even during this meeting, but on Friday, I'm going to check in with everyone at our next governance meeting and see, because we'll get into our governance meetings right after this, and see if everyone's filled out their accountabilities and their metrics. To understand what an accountability is, I put a link there, and for metrics, it's free flowing. You guys decide. Every role has a different style of metrics that is needed. So it's an open-ended question. You just have to put something down, and ideally, it's something that we can track fundamentally, right? Okay, so that's it on this spreadsheet.
Sorry, can you repeat that? What's the metric?
A metric means something that you can look at and say yes or no, this role is being completed in a satisfactory way, right? So maybe for, let's say, external comms, right? The role of external comms, a blog post has to be written every week, right? And then, was it, that would be the metrics. Was a blog post written this week? And if the goal is once a week, then you're failing at your metric if you didn't get achieved. Now, for a lot of things, it's going to be a little more complicated than that, and that's why it's a homework assignment. Okay, but now we're moving on. Does anyone need a second on anything? Thank God. Okay. Now we're going to go into something a little complicated and something new, but I think something very necessary that will help us achieve our goals here. I want to implement a weekly governance meeting. So governance meetings are designed to focus on changing how roles work and changing the responsibilities, the accountabilities, and the metrics of a role. The goal is in Holacracy in general, is to try to stay focused on roles. I think this is valuable because it helps get people above feeling personally attacked if someone feels like they're not achieving their role, or if someone starts moving into their domains, then it can get a little personal. But if we have a clear set of roles and who owns what, and and how things are supposed to be achieved based off of these defined things that we have in our magical little spreadsheet, then it will make it easier to get shit done on our own, because we know who is responsible for what decisions, and if we are doing something that we know will affect someone else's domain, we can just go Control F through the spreadsheet and see whose domain it is and go talk to them. Governance meetings are where we resolve conflicts that weren't achieved during the week, and also it's not so much about conflicts between people, it's conflicts with where we are now and where we want to be in the future, right? In general, that's called attention. So attention can be, of course, negative, like, this blog post was written and it looks really crappy, like it makes our thing whatever, right? Like we need there are two ways to achieve. There's the governance. The governance meeting would be to address that in a way that would stop it from happening in the future by changing a role's purpose, changing the accountabilities behind a role, changing the domain of a role. Is there a plug for Mac? Oh, thank you. And so a governance meeting is where we start attacking that spreadsheet, basically. We're going to do a practice one in a second, but I want to talk about the roles. So, in general, there is always going to be a facilitator who's going to kind of run the meeting, run the governance meeting. And the facilitator is a tough role because they have to be like kind of the referee. And their job is to make sure that the rules of the meeting are respected, and they are in charge of interrupting people when they are not going along with the game, right? You guys can read the details on that if you want, but whatever, the facilitator is the boss. Everyone listens to him. Benevolent dictator of the meeting. The secretary is the person who kind of helps the facilitator write down the agenda items, and also is a very important role because they are the person who kind of breaks the tie if there's a misinterpretation of what happened in the meeting. They're responsible for interpreting the truth. They are the single source of truth for what happened in the meeting. So if one person says one thing, another person says another thing, like, wait, I thought I had domain over the blog. No, I thought I had domain over the blog. It's the secretary's job to say, actually, this person said that this person, was elected to domain the blog. And then I'll talk about the other three roles as we talk about the governance meeting process. So I think the easiest way to describe the governance meeting would be to just do one. Okay? So I want to do a governance meeting in general on our roles, and I'll try to help lead this, right?
I have one question. This is for every role, for every circle, or just one for the whole company?
We're going to do one for the whole company, as in on a weekly basis until DevCon, and see how it goes. So every Friday, which is Friday Fun Day, or Bureaucracy Friday, as I'm starting to call it, but Friday Fun Day, we're going to have a morning meeting, at least, or whatever makes sense for the time zones, right? So, and the attendance is generally mandatory, which means you don't have to come. And so every meeting has to have the facilitator and the secretary kind of assigned at the beginning. And I made Jen read this.
So we identify the facilitator and the secretary at the meeting.
Before the meeting.
Before the meeting, but it doesn't need to be the same two people for all the meetings.
In general, no, although I hope to facilitate the first few. Because I have gone to, my house used to use Holacracy, so I've been to about 20 of these meetings. At least. Probably more.
Okay, but there's still an opportunity for other people to facilitate.
Absolutely. And if if this is fun and it seems like a good way to go, I hope that individual circles, like the branding circle, can kind of use this occasionally as well, and or at least this style. In Holacracy, they have two types of meetings. They have the governance meeting, which is specifically about fulfilling roles and making sure that a role has the right duties and all of these kinds of things. And then they have tactical meetings, which is more specific about actually achieving the answer. So in a governance meeting, you might say like, I have attention, and it's that I don't think that the colors that we have are really great, and I would like to propose that I'd be involved with the branding decisions on the colors of our website. Whereas a tactical meeting might be, hey, I think our colors suck, that's the tension, and the proposal is that we use blue and green instead. Right? So it's a different thing. In governance meetings, we're not actually trying to solve the problem in the meeting. We're trying to build a structure so that the problem can get solved outside of the meeting. Okay, so that's enough intro. Every meeting starts with a check-in. So we go around and everyone has about 20 seconds to say what is distracting them and what their intention for the meeting is, right? So I'm distracted by the fact that I'm on camera right now and am talking about stuff I don't really know. And, well, at least haven't practiced so much. And my intention for this meeting is for us to learn how to play this game. Because I think it will be fun and very rewarding on helping us move effectively. See?
I need a second to grasp this.
Okay, let's go counterclockwise. You got the short end of the stick last time. Or clockwise.
I'm just, I think this is a great strategy. Makes sense to me.
Is anything distracting you?
Am I looking at the
Just seeing too many new things at the same time and I don't know where to focus first. I guess that's it.
Perfect. So Wojtek, is anything distracting you, and what's your
Yeah,
intention?
still filling in this sheet.
Okay.
It's still distracting me because I'm also thinking that we're missing a lot of roles as I was looking around.
Mm-hmm.
Other question?
Do you have an intention on this meeting?
Intention on this meeting? Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
What is it?
What is it to? My intention is actually to mostly to talk about quality.
Okay.
About quality of what we're producing, quality of basically everything. And yeah, and like where do we go from here?
Perfect. Grace, is there anything distracting you, and what is your intention for the meeting?
Distracting me could be the implementation of this. So I'm trying to see how that actually fits in my mind, which is kind of very much a structure based. So I'm trying to see how the distraction is to actually see the output being something very productive for us to use and move on. So that's where my distraction actually is going right now. And as far as bringing something into the meeting, will be perhaps implementing this and the governance and how we go about making decisions and moving forward.
Okay.
So yeah.
Kai?
I'm obviously distracted by adjusting the camera and nobody's asking questions right now, but I'm having a look. And yeah, I always wished for this kind of meeting, so I mean, I told you personally that I would love a weekly meeting, and I think it would really help, so I'm all for it, and you have my full attention. Besides the
Okay.
Is the distracting like what is distracting right now, or like?
Yeah, what's right now?
No. Not really any distractions right now.
So focused, this guy. And do you have any intentions for the meeting?
No, just see where it goes, or like get a grasp of it, of what it is, I guess.
Very cool.
Yeah. think I'm good, not really distracted. I'm a little thirsty, I don't have that much water left, so I'm trying to conserve. And then just learning for purpose of the meeting.
That's the question. So distraction is right now in this active
Right now.
second.
Yeah,
So
this second.
Now, are you paying attention to anything else, Jordan?
I'm paying attention in the cattle revolution. You know, there is a lot of
Uh-huh.
there is a lot of things going on. There is people in the courts, and you know, things happen. We try to to just forget for while I'm in the meeting because I think we can avoid that. And I want to add to the. Well, for me, I don't know if it's in this meeting or not because I don't really know how this is gonna work. But for me, it's you know my main goal in the full meeting in general is just try to see how this liquid pledging UI works. So that's maybe it's not the governance stuff, but it's like what worries me in my mind.
Yeah. Jen?
Not distracted right now. It's good, I think. Intention was the other thing.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So to me, it would be important to talk about my role, my tasks, and maybe that's the whole thing. Because I think there's so many different things going on, and I don't really know sometimes
Okay.
what people expect from you, what you expect,
Yeah.
etc. So I think that would be good to focus on a bit.
Okay. Z?
The fact that I need to talk in front of people disturbs me a bit.
Louder, please.
And my actual job, people keep bothering me even though I'm on vacation. But the intention, probably to find out how I can be more of a help, even with this limited time. Maybe what the team wants me to deliver, and some like unclear areas which need to be solved. So that's probably that.
Perfect. This is a good.
Good to meet you in
Oh,
real
hey,
life.
man. Oh wow, yeah.
It's the first time I've met you.
We can do hugs and stuff.
Come
We
on.
can take a second.
Alright, get in here, man. Hey. Oh, it's good. Nice to see you. Hi. Hi. Alan. Satya. Hi. Hi, Satya. Satya. Hey, nice to meet you. Finally. Very cool.
Oh, okay.
Grace. Hi.
Let's do the hug first. And a second kiss.
Hey man.
Good to see you.
Oh, you're taller than I thought.
Yeah. How are you? Nice to see you.
You are tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Hi, Jen.
Hi,
Nice to
Jen.
meet you. Hi.
Hi.
Oh man, you guys have you haven't met half the team,
No,
huh?
it's just like,
Yeah.
oh,
Ah,
Jeez.
feels
Nobody
good.
met.
Yeah.
You met
All
Satya,
this
and you met Satya.
Skyping and
The main distraction is such a
Yeah, exactly.
It's all of
Very big distraction.
We're
We
distracted.
get to meet Sasha for the first time, for half of us. Okay. So
Nothing will be the same again.
yeah. Okay, so then after the check-in, which Sasha's just gonna have to come in and dive in. Luckily, he's seen a little bit about Holacracy, so he has an advantage. But after the check-in, the facilitator kind of just says all the basics of the situation, right? So we have probably an hour or maybe more to do this. I don't want it to last too long. So 2 hours max, dear God, right? We have lunch at 1 o'clock, but I hope that we can take a break, maybe even after this. After I do this, so we'll take a quick break since we're already here with Sasha. And then, what time do you have to leave, Wojtek, for the airport?
6.
Okay, so
you're leaving.
you got all the time in the world. So, and this meeting is being live streamed to everyone. So, I think that's probably good enough. Let's take just a quick
Hold
break.
on. Does he not have to do distraction and intention because he's got here or what?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do, but
fair enough.
yeah.
No,
Let's-
don't eat yet.
Yeah.
It's a breakfast. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Do you want
very
to do you want to do a check-in?
What should I do?
Okay, so the check-in is basically You get 20 seconds to say kind of like what's distracting you and what your intention for this specific meeting is. You don't have an intro, but
But you should just do a little bit of intro.
No, he should do what he's been working on and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
So that it's
Team
so that everybody.
introduction, no?
yeah. Okay, we can do that. Are you starving? That's
you
a
go.
scare. Okay, so do you want to tell us what you've been up to for the last 2 months?
Yeah, so I joined Gibbet, when was it? End of July, I think. And I first started to work on the proto because there was a lot of confusion about what Gibbet is and what the product should look like, and everybody has different ideas. So just started to make something and in Vision, and that resulted in a lot of discussions, which I think were very helpful for the team. And then after that, Wojtek and Z took over, and I actually started building the dApp in React with Oz and Rodney. And well, that's basically it. I'm from Holland.
Shout out to Holland.
Just in case that was
I
not
hardly
clear.
slept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Let's take a quick break, go to the bathroom, get water and stuff like that, and we'll come back and finish this meeting.
Nice. I think we have a 3-minute buffer, so.
Okay.
You can even go back and.
Was it a direct flight?
Yeah, it's direct. I go to 7,
I didn't want to wear
6 to the airport,
socks.
like 5, and then I always bad if I have to catch an early plane.
Yeah, they're like
I
worried
think,
about missing out.
this is already.
Yeah.
Me neither.
Yeah, exactly.
What I want to achieve, I don't know, I'm not sure what's this, so I know this is the right place, but my goal in the full meeting is to see the UI, the looking magic.
No instructions. Intention the same as earlier. If we have time and space for that, I would like to talk about my role.
Distraction, waiting for my turn, that's for sure. Team organization and how this is going to fit in and how we're going to implement it.
Yeah, didn't really land yet, so that's a distraction. So from the next 2 days? What do
No,
we-
just for this
Oh,
next
this-
meeting right
This
here.
next meeting? Just learning.
Okay. Okay. So now we build an agenda. The goal here is if there's something you want to talk about, ideally it's something that there's a problem, and you will state what the problem is, or tension, right? So something you want to see changed, and or a change we need to make in our governance structure to address an issue that comes up, and a proposal to change it. So 3 words max. Anyone? You just say 3 words. So, for instance, I want to get the blog going again, so I'm going to say blog posts. That's an agenda item.
Creating a playbook.
Creating a playbook.
Who writes it down?
Sorry, Jen's writing it down, right?
Agenda and goal for DevCon 3.
Once again, please.
That's too many words.
The goal for DevCon 3.
Okay,
Go for Deaf Country.
DEFCON 3 is 1 word. I'll give you that.
Launch, energy, and product.
Okay.
Like that one.
My role. That's
Okay.
2 words. Sorry.
Anybody else?
Not lunch.
Not lunch,
Lounge.
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 No crosstalk, guys. Anything else?
Guess I have to say demo.
Demo. Okay.
Roles and team organization.
Okay.
And communication.
Communication?
Communication.
Communication.
Yes.
You can have multiple agenda topics.
Alright.
Product clarity.
Wireframes and mockups.
Not so fast.
Wireframes and mockups.
Sorry, what did you say?
Wireframes and mockups.
DAX.
Some of these seem kind of tactical as opposed to governance.
Absolutely.
So
So when we get to the thing, some of these might get shut down. But who knows?
So, but is this a governance meeting?
This is a
This is a
governance
So
meeting.
then we have to forget about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there is going on so many. Okay.
Tax out?
I mean, it's yeah, Dax out,
Tax out.
but it's okay. You know, this we're supposed to do it wrong. That's how we learn, right? So it'll be fun to have some things that I'm like, no, that's not a proposal. That's not attention. So
So what about, so I guess it could be part of the playbook, but how about a voting system?
voting system.
Do you want me to repeat what I?
Can you just did you put in a Google Doc or something?
Yeah.
Can you send that Google Doc to private team?
Yeah.
And I'll put it on here. Now you get to see my embed. Oh, good. There's no desktop items. That's a miracle. Oh, there they go. Okay, let's get these agenda items up here. Okay, so I'm gonna make these more like. Actually, Jen, can you just make them all one line like this?
Like this? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so in general, the facilitator will try to group these in the way that they see fit. So, I mean, it's always best to just start with the first one. But if this feels like it might roll into something else, we can just kind of move it up. And, you know, so if it's on topic, it's on topic. So the first one, okay, so I'm going to do a practice one for blog posts. Can you make mine first so that I can kind of model it? Okay, so the first thing you'll do is you'll say the tension, and then you'll make a proposal to resolve it. And then the next round will be clarifying questions. So everyone gets a chance to ask the proposer questions. I'm going to be the proposer because blog post is my first thing. And then everyone will get to say, well, I don't really understand this. And this is kind of the C in the hands is kind of like, hey, clarifying questions. And anyone can ask during any time a clarifying question. Okay, so my proposal is, my intention is we haven't had a blog post in a while since Grace's blog post, and that was the first in a long time. And I'd like to make that a more regular. My proposal is that we create a weekly blog post all the way till DEF CON. And the proposal to do that, the actual proposal is that we create a role for who's going to manage the blog. And, or what I should say is I want to add that to my role as giveth lead to make sure that a blog post happens every week. Any clarifying questions?
What kind of system do you want to use? Do you want to use Medium, or do you want to use our own system, which is basically also ready, where we can have our own blog posts on our blog?
So that will be the decision, my decision.
Okay, cool.
But
I'm just so you know
yeah,
it's possible.
So in general, this is I would love to talk to you about that.
Sure.
But in general, so all these clarifying questions, he gets a question and then I respond, and then it's it. So no crosstalk. But in general with this, it's not about how, like the details, it's more about who's making the decisions and who's responsible, accountabilities, things like that. So, yeah.
Then I don't have a question.
I have a question. So, wouldn't it be better to create the second role and just say you have both roles as opposed to trying to add it to a role? Is that
Sure.
the same thing? Okay.
Yeah, and that's a good. That would be a reaction, not a clarifying question.
Which would the blog post be about?
That
What do you
is,
want to promote?
giveth.
It's about how, right? So we don't.
Yeah,
talk about-
exactly. But it's not really a clarifying question.
Can,
Oh, crazy.
can I say something?
Yeah, yeah.
Can we make this part of a launch plan, a kind of a thought or launch plan that includes communication for a period of time and what type of communication needs to be?
Sure, but that's not a clarifying question either. So that will be in the next round. In the next round, we have free space to talk.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So you want to have that role, but do you think you have enough time for this role?
That is also not a clarifying
So
question.
clarifying question. Do you understand
I think
what
it
you
is.
said?
Yes,
I didn't understand what
exactly.
you said. I
Do
get a
you
clarifying
understand?
question.
Do you
But I
understand what I'm
understood
saying?
what you said.
I think everyone's
Okay.
clear.
Yeah,
I
there-
just understand when you said
it's a
also
good one.
clarifying questions.
It's a good one because
I think my
they're really.
qualified as a clarifying question.
What is
Yes.
a clarifying question?
Yeah.
It's really like, what is the proposal? Wait, what are you trying to say?
Yeah.
What did you? So wait, so you want you what? Let me clarify. That's a clarifying question, and there shouldn't have been any. I mean, it's pretty clear. It's right. Like, hey, we haven't tension. The tension is we haven't had a blog post in a while. The just one in like the last months, like several months. The proposal, I make a role. That's my responsibility to make sure a blog post gets done every week. And
Can we make another proposal?
no, not one proposal at a time. Okay, but now, so clarifying question round is
Made
over,
already, I
Okay.
think.
right?
What is the next round?
The next round is reactions.
Okay.
And reactions is the reactions is really fun and it's really dangerous. This is where governance meetings go bad, okay? And that's okay. That's okay. Because in the reaction round, we go around and everyone has a chance to react to it. It could be, oh no! And that's it, right? That's fine. Or it could be them almost filibustering with an hour-long talk. And that's also sadly okay. Okay? So this is the dangerous part of the meeting. Of every proposal, we go through and say reactions. Okay, so we're going to start over here, Sacha. What's your reaction to this?
Well, my reaction is, your proposal is to take up another role, creating blog posts, but I doubt you have time for that. Is that a good reaction?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So I'm not sure if this is the best idea. The role is fine,
Okay.
I guess. The execution is in a question mark of the role. I mean, who's going to write the blog post? So that's my reaction.
Yep, and I don't respond. The reaction is just go.
Okay.
There is no product so far, so I'm not sure what you want to promote. Maybe we don't want to create too much hype too early.
Okay. Jen? Sorry, you're distracted.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes very much in that line. For me, it should not be, I like the idea, but it should not be based on time-based. It should not be once per week, but it should be so you have something to communicate. And I agree that we should have many things to communicate that feels once a week, okay? But it should be a consequence, not the goal. The goal is we need to communicate things, and we have a lot of things to communicate. And but it should be based, the decisions of to make or not to make a post is because you have to have something to say. I don't want blog posts that are empty because this is downgrade the quality of the blog post.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's like, sure, do what you think. If you think you have something to say every week, or give us has something we're saying every week, great.
Sounds good.
I think we should what Grace said before, like we should have a plan for these. Is my suggestion for these. Like at least we map out weeks and what we kind of want to say to make your life easier. And I share the doubt with the time, but I know your past medium posts and I really like them, so I think you should do it if you have time.
I think the idea is good if it comes in a coordinated way, so that we don't write a blog post just for the sake of writing blog posts, but we define what is the scope of the communication that we want to bring out there, and we stay within that frame, and then it's also in line with our social media. It's not just a blog post isolated, but it actually follows up some social media stuff.
I would go even further and say it actually follows the whole end goal. So it actually, the blog post leads us somewhere where we want to go.
Okay.
Well, I was just thinking about how to create like nice images for each post with the logo and the identity. I was thinking about that.
Okay, cool.
Reaction. That's a great reaction.
That's a great reaction.
I agree with everything that's been said. I think it's good to think of a strategy and what do we want from this blog post, and that the more images we can add to it, the better.
Okay. So that was great. So that went really quickly, thank God. Because that's always like sometimes.
That's probably because we understood what you want from us.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be really scary on the reaction round. Anyway, that went really fast. So next is the amend and clarify. So this is where I get a chance to change my proposal and clarify it even further based off the reactions. So the tension still remains. I want to clarify my proposal and amend it to say, let's start a weekly blog post circle. And I would like to nominate Grace to be on the circle with me to make sure that our branding and everything is satisfied and that we still maintain a weekly blog post. But I'm just responsible for making sure it happens. I'm not responsible for writing it necessarily, although I will probably write it a fair amount.
You're
We'll
a good
see.
editor.
Yeah,
So
I
you
like,
edit
honestly,
it,
I
you
like
edit
editing way more
over,
anyway.
yeah.
I don't like writing content. So I will just make sure that my proposal will be that I make sure that somebody does a blog post every week and that it gets done. And that I have Grace's help with signing off on the editing with me or something along those lines. And we'll develop a strategy for how the blog post fits in with our overall strategy. Okay, so now that's my proposal, and the next thing is the objection round. So this is where one at a time everyone gets to say a reason why adopting this proposal would cause harm or giveth back. Okay, so it's not about fear or worry. It has to be a concrete reason why this proposal would actually cause harm to some other sector of giveth or set giveth backwards. And there's more details here, obviously, and the objections will get tested. And so if the objection doesn't obviously fit that, like causing harm or setting giveth backwards, then I'll ask, how do you believe it will cause harm or set giveth backwards? Does the objection still exist if the proposal wasn't implemented, right? So is your objection something that's a problem with giveth in general, not just this proposal? And is the proposal safe enough to try, knowing that we can address problems later when it's the case? So it's like, if this might cause a problem, potentially, is it safe enough to try? Okay, so are there any objections to a weekly Giveth blog post run by Grace and I, and written by anybody?
I just said before, if the content is not good enough, it hurts the image of Giveth, because you are saying stupid things.
Yeah. So, do you think it's safe enough to try?
I think that we have enough things to say to maintain a blog post. I don't know if a weekly, but Sometimes maybe it's gonna be 2 per week, and sometimes it's gonna be 1 per month, depending on the activity and depending on the things. And
So would you say it's safe enough to try?
I think it's safe enough there, but I would like
Okay,
to. I
so
would
it's
like-
not an
I
objection,
would like
and you
to
gotta
see
stop talking.
what-
I'm sorry. The facilitator's role is to be a dick, and I have to be a dick, and we gotta get the meeting going because there's a lot of agenda items. Is there any objections?
Yeah.
Let's hear 'em.
I wonder if it's important enough to spend resources from our team on this while we have all those other important stuff going on. So I think we should prioritize this proposal based on the amount of resources that we have, team members and things to do, and then somehow see if we should still do
So
it.
I would say
If
that
this is the most important thing to spend your time on, to give it a success, then we should do it. I have no objections, but
okay,
I
no
think-
objections. Moving on. Anybody else? Okay, proposal passed. Success. No objections. We don't have to do the integration round.
It's not voting and nothing like that.
No, there's no voting
That's a problem.
because this is the Holacracy is not really made for voting. There's only one time in Holacracy that there's a vote, and that's when 2 people want the same role, and then there's a vote amongst the team. In Holacracy, you delegate authority to an individual, and they are in charge of making sure that it happens the way that they think it should happen. And if that starts getting in the way of other people and their roles, then we have tension, and we debate who should have the authority over that role.
Yeah, but for example, we had 2 objections. So
Those weren't objections. Those were fears. Yours was a fear, and so was yours.
I feel like yours was a suggestion that we don't publish
No.
every week if we don't have the content to publish.
Yeah.
But, so that suggestion though wasn't an objection. So I get that part, so it's not an
Yeah.
objection, but when does he get to say the suggestion later, or it has nothing to do
No.
with this system or this proposal?
Well,
Or he should have said it.
I
or he
shouldn't
kind
be
of-
a
Earlier.
dick.
it's
Because
approved
I
with
know,
my
but it was
suggestion
earlier.
or without my
Well,
suggestion.
he said it in the reaction. It was like the
Okay,
exact
so-
same thing.
Exactly, so then your
I
suggestion.
And so-
don't know if I did it in the
So
right way. that's
no,
the
you did
problem.
it right,
I think- yeah,
except for the objection,
The
because it wasn't technically
the
an objection.
was actually still reaction. What about Sanchez?
why is my objection not an objection?
Because it's also it's a prioritization, and
Yeah,
so in the end, is it safe enough to try? And the thing is, it's okay if we fail, right? It's okay if I put on the do list and because
So this system is very heavily weighted towards getting permission to try a new thing without stepping on anyone's toe
exactly,
very hard.
yeah.
It's like, all right, I get it. You didn't really particularly like the idea, but did it cause Giveth to suffer? Did it cause a major other thing to suffer? Then if there's no, and then did I not? I listened to everyone's reactions, so I put that in there. But then if there's no absolute stop
Yeah,
sign,
okay, but if we
Yeah.
follow that system, then we just have fun trying all different kind of stuff.
So
Well, we all have time is our biggest
so
asset.
I probably should have amended it further. Okay, I will.
It's obvious.
I should have amended my proposal further to say I just want to create a role for managing the blog posts, and that person can post as often as they feel is necessary. And I want to be that person,
no, rejected.
right? And it's not. We're now, and because honestly, that weak part anyway shouldn't have been in the governance meeting anyway. I was doing it wrong.
Okay,
'Cause
let's-
that's like a
let's-
how.
Let's go with another
Let's
one and
move
try to
on.
do better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so creating a playbook. Whose was that? Is that yours?
That was a suggestion I made, and it was just to understand kind of like what do we go by, what are our guidelines
Okay.
as a team.
So what is the tension and what is your
The
proposal?
tension is that we have nothing.
What is a playbook?
A playbook
Like
is
a
kind
Whoa,
of
whoa, whoa,
like
whoa,
a
hold on.
Yeah,
Let's follow
yeah.
the model.
He's got it. She's got it. No crosstalk ever.
no crosstalk.
No crosstalk ever.
So I will explain what
And
it
we
is.
need to know the tension and the proposal.
So I'll start again. The playbook is kind of a guidelines on how the team interacts with each other and how the team kind of governs itself. That's a playbook. So it has rules, regulations, or whatever suggestions, framework. And the tension is that we have nothing like that. And it seems that we kind of make the decisions on the fly for everything. as opposed to actually knowing, I'm just gonna wait because that's the way we're gonna make the decision on that, or this is how I understand, this is my scope, or this is how, this is what I'm gonna get paid for, and so on. Different type of situations which we have come across, and we don't really understand how that's gonna go about.
Mhm.
That's
So
it.
what's your proposal?
The
that was
proposal is to create a playbook.
So that was her doing the first part, and
That was the tension.
and that's your question. So this is a what question? It's called a.
No, this is not a clarifying. No, she just actually didn't finish her first part because it has to be a tension and a proposal. So the tension is we don't have anything that we're working with. But what's the proposal for a solution?
She did it out of order. She said the proposal first.
I said
Yeah.
proposal.
Which is
Create a
Create
playbook.
a playbook.
okay. Okay, so creating a playbook. Clarifying question. What do you imagine that playbook to be, or what maybe I should say, what role should be in charge of creating that playbook?
So I answer the question right away. So I would say some kind of a I think it has various elements in there, or people part of that. Cultures definitely, team organization, I don't know, strategy. There's a few elements that, or people that represent those elements that need to be part of that play.
Clarifying question. So are you proposing that we give that to, sorry, this is how we used to
Is
do
this
it.
clarifying question?
This is the C, clarifying question.
Wow.
Habits. So when you, are you proposing creating a circle to create the playbook, or are you proposing creating a role?
Clarifying the question, it's a temporary circle.